Okay, Kevin, so you'll have a 1-minute opening statement, then we have 5 questions, which you'll have 1 minute each to answer, then you'll have a 1-minute closing. Will is the timekeeper in front of you, and you can begin when you're ready.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Kevin Parker. I've been part of MSCSA for 2 years. I've served on your platform, your steering committee, and your GC. I've served on MINSCU textbook committee and handled the open educational resource education throughout. I've also sat on this year MINSCU transfer oversight and 2 charting the future teams, all boots on the ground pushing for improvements for students. And we have a successful transfer plan, passed through legislation, and we're hoping it comes all the way out. So thank you.
All right, question 1. Tell us 3 goals you hope to accomplish if elected president.
One goal is I would like to increase the communication that's going through, and there's 2 parts to that. One, I would like to see us, whether it's WebEx or in person, start meeting earlier than September as our first real meeting between all of our platform and GC reps and try to help work on engaging the regions. Also, I was actually a real big fan of the campus visits last year, and I would like to see those reinstated so at least once we get that personal touch on each campus. Another goal would be I've been dealing this year with the League of Women Voters, and there is a fantastic opportunity to work with them. Many of them are engaged on a daily to weekly basis with our legislators. A lot of them are great mentors who want mentees. They love students who get involved. They're willing to advertise, like if you're a student who wants to get engaged, they're more than willing to speak on this. I'm speaking with the Metro Council branch of them coming in May, at May 29th and 30th, I believe. But it's a hell of an opportunity for all of our students on a personal level, as well as going forward into the year for legislative agendas, for working as a team. And a third goal I would like to see is making sure that every student and every Senate knows their policies and the tools they have, and they never feel helpless again because they know they can fight back.
All right, question 2. What do you believe are the biggest issues facing students on our campuses?
2 big issues I see is, and I've seen this all throughout the year, is I get questions of, how did you guys handle this? Because we don't know how. And that's why it ties back into what I just said. I want to make sure everyone knows their policy, they know their procedure, they know what their rights are as students. Because if we can strengthen everybody as an individual Senate, if we can have every Senate that strong that when a situation comes up, they know how to handle it, they know they have the courage to face it. Because once you've done it once, it's that much easier to go, I know where the boundaries are, and I know that you crossed them, and I know I can push you back. Or and when it comes to supporting something, you'll know how to defend it and how to make sure it promotes it on your campus. Can you repeat the question real quick?
Sure.
Got really into that one.
What do you believe are the biggest issues facing students on our campuses?
There's also the threat to charting the future that's come through. And now it's going to potentially break down into regional or campus groups. We need to make sure the student voice is still strong, and that's why the individual strength piece is so important and that communication piece is so important. Because if it goes down to regional or campus-based groups, we need to ensure that we are well in communication, that everyone has a strong stance and they know what's going on.
All right, question 3. What 3 policy initiatives do you believe should be the focus of MSCSA's advocacy work over the next year?
As in legislative or MINSCU?
It just says advocacy work, so it could be both.
Could be both. Number 1, we obviously need to work with MINSCU on making sure Hire 1 is permanently kicked out of our state forever. That would be a beautiful thing to see, and I think that's a big policy issue we've had to deal with for years now. As a second policy, and this may get taken care of this year, there's actually a bill going through that would support funding, full funding for the college student PSEO, as well as going to the high school, so we can take care of the drama and fighting that goes between the K-12 system and our colleges, so they'll actually advertise what PSEO is and the fact that it's free. And if that doesn't manage to make it through, Jerry Newton was pushing that from the House, I know, then that's something that we should look at permanently, making sure it's instated. As a third one, we've got to go back to the accessibility and affordability. We need to continually get the state to invest and increase our not only our money for when things go up and tuition could rise, but for our support services that are so integral to our students.
All right, question 4. Tell us about a mentor you've had in your life, and how will you mentor students if elected president?
So I met this guy named Thomas Burke, who I was vice president under last year. And the amount of, when it came to conflict mediation, when it came to negotiation, when it came to collaboration, and particularly when to take an opportunity, when you have the option and when you draw that line and you don't let yourself get pushed back against the wall. Those are some of the key lessons that I took from that man. Yeah, you're right, I'm pointing you out now. He handled conflict resolution trainings that were very popular last year, and they were very effective, and I got to work with him personally. I live with the man, so it also helps that every day we can debate each other back and forth. And I would take those lessons with, that you always have a voice, that when it comes to collaboration, conflict is going to happen, but the collaboration piece is more important. There are times it goes in negotiation, but if you can end it in collaboration, get each side to understand where they're coming from, how this affects me, why this could hurt or help us. Then you can get them, if you can get them to understand where you're coming from and you can understand where they're coming from, the collaboration piece, negotiation rolls right over into collaboration. And that would be the lessons and the way I would mentor people so that they can get, if we're all working together, we can accomplish much more.
Question 5. Tell us about a time where you were involved in a workplace or organizational conflict, and how did you work to resolve the issue?
There's been so many conflicts that have happened in any Senate. I think it's unavoidable. And actually, I'd say a key one that was happening was between two of my senators back when I was vice president, actually. And they, for some reason, they just could not stand each other. They were continuously going back and forth, and they weren't just appreciative of me at first because I was pointing out to them that this has to stop. And what we did was we sat down and got to the point where we understood where they were coming off. It's that they were speaking words, and I could tell they didn't mean what they were saying, and the other person was taking it in a way that was not intended. And again, it comes down to that understanding. If you can get them to understand, this is what he's trying to get across, this is why this hurt him or affected him or he felt disrespected, it's that much easier for them to go, you know what, that makes sense, and actually start having a conversation where there's not that misunderstanding, where there's not them going at each other's throats over something that was interpreted wrong. And they actually became really good friends for the rest of the year. That was work.
All right, and then a 1-minute closing statement.
I love the MSCSA and I love all the work, and one of the reasons is that helpless piece. I know what helplessness feels like. Before I came to Minnesota when I was in Michigan, I know what it's like to feel like your back's against the wall and you have no choice and you have no options. And that's one of the things that drew me to Senate, was that we do have rights, we do have a voice, and we need to share that with everybody. We need to strengthen that voice ourselves. We need to come across and know that it's a how-to, not a why did this happen to me, what's gonna happen next. It's how do I move forward, how do I take action to change this so that this never happens again to me or anybody else. We've seen our students bleed, we've bled ourselves. And at the end of the day, we know that they need these services, they need to have an accessible and affordable education, and that they need to be able to pursue their dreams. And that education is not a privilege, it's a right. Thank you.